must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Way back in 1998, the late Secretary General of the United Nations by name Kofi Annan thought of an idea, brought an idea of saying the only way to bring world order where crimes committed that are not punishable in local courts, local countries, regional courts could be taken to an international crimes court. The Rome Statute and Rome Treaty of 1998 July was an offspring of already cooked DSGE intelligence system mechanism to keep Africa under check. Up to date, the French government pays 70% of the salaries of the International Criminal Court, from the porter to the judge, to the prosecutor, and the rest of the other people. This was a project of Kofi Annan and the Kofi Annan Foundation, followed by George Soros as an accomplice of Kofi Annan, brought in by Luis Moreno Campo and the entire system of the West, some countries in the West, to keep check on African countries that did not agree with the policies of the French and to their policies of Western culture. The International Criminal Court Chief Prosecutor Luis Moreno Campo agreed in all this that yes, he has been picking money, extra monies, and we followed the story together with my group in France, powerful investigators in France who worked together with me. And we found out that, truly speaking, Luis Moreno Campo, Fernandez Gumedi, the former judge, the president of the International Criminal Court, laundered the money, some coming from American banks themselves. This evidence was put in the ICC. In the case of Bashir versus the chief prosecutor, I filed an application which I still have and which I'm going to publicize again so that people can know that I was right. I've been vindicated because the American friends now have found that my credibility is real, that I was right when I stood up to say this court is corrupt. This court launders money, $17 million of United States money, laundered through Bahamas, through New York banks, back to Ocampo's personal assistant, by then called Fernandez Gumedi Silvia, who later on rose to the ranks of becoming the president of International Criminal Court. It has taken us time, energy, effort, resources to investigate the corruption scandal that have rocked the International Criminal Court. Why should African countries continue to be in the ICC? Yet even the superpowers like America are saying no, we have enough courts to try our own people. Viewers, it has taken Americans over 20 years to listen to our voices when we told Rainberger in Nairobi that this court is a corrupt court.
Today, on the eve of September the 11th, I want to deliver a clear and unambiguous message on behalf of the President of the United States. The United States will use any means necessary to protect our citizens and those of our allies from unjust prosecution by this illegitimate court. We will not cooperate with the ICC. We will provide no assistance to the ICC, and we certainly will not join the ICC. We will let the ICC die on its own. After all, for all intents and purposes, the ICC is already dead to us.
A case of the Kenyan people. These cases in Kenya, the chief prosecutor called Fatou Bensouda put serious statements at the end of the cases, discharge and termination. In legal language, these cases pose a very serious threat in the future. What the people of Kenya can do, and they should do, is today to wrap up the work envelope. Because until this envelope is sealed, thrown in Indian Ocean, the chief prosecutor in the future will come and look for that envelope, use it to incriminate people again. It brings me back to the situation. America is sealing its journey out of the ICC. Why do you wait? Why don't you take this opportunity to seal your journeys out of the ICC? America is quitting, warning that it cannot no longer be a party to such an obnoxious court, a court that has no powers, that talks from this side and vomits from the other side, a court that cuts and pastes evidence, a court that buys witnesses, a court that incites incentives, gives incentives to witnesses of a passport and a relocation, then you tell lies about people. A court that sentences you as per the words there. Why should you leave a country that has a jury that checks on what the judges would do, the excesses of judges, and go to a country, a court that has no jury? Time has come for Africa to think. Do we need this court? Does Africa need this court?
Zimbabwe's economy is cursed because we have a bad leadership running the treasury of the people of Zimbabwe. President Emmerson Mnangagwa should have picked a person who understands the political, social, economic apparatus of what the economy of Zimbabwe needs. President Emmerson Mnangagwa would have been able to walk out of this quagmire of the economy by picking a leader, a person who is able to manage the economy. The current Minister of Finance is a parrot of George Soros, Brent Woods institutions. He cannot run the economy. A person who always talks of hiked prices, hiked percentage, hiked fuel, cannot help you in a struggle where regime change is near the doorsteps. President Emerson Mnangagwa, dear brother, time has come to change the direction. The Zimbabwe economy is the Waterloo of the government of Zimbabwe. It is important, therefore, for us to do what we call fatigue evaluation. Is there a need for fatigue evaluation? Is the system moving forward? Is there any investment that is coming as it was, as people were willing to come with investment? It is very shocking at this age that America is piling pressure and sanctions on Zimbabwe, that the same American people, through a proxy, send one to be the chairman of Zimbabwe Reserve Bank, or the Central Bank of Zimbabwe. I want to ask, what is this that we Africans get confused when it comes to the direction of our own policies? Here is a country that has hammered sanctions, and here we are. We have got their own native coming to manage our and micromanage our finances to find out why we went wrong. But then he's not going to tell America to remove sanctions before he manages the same place. Are we cursed? I believe the people of Zimbabwe, I believe the president will look at this and review the appointment of Mr. Mark Holzman. Mr. Mark Holzman can be very good in Rwanda, but cannot be very good in Zimbabwe. He will bring you the mobs and the millions of people on the streets of Harare if you allow him to run your economy or your finances. Thank you.
In the fight against corruption, it has been demonstrated throughout the world that unless you sustain the war, and it is a war, remember that there are individuals, not only in Nigeria, but throughout the world, who suckle from the breasts of corruption. And they are not just about to win themselves off the suckling. They must be forced out of it, and they'll fight back. Because there are individuals, even in government, in all sectors of government, who now take their children to school on the basis of money corruptly acquired. They live in houses that are corruptly acquired. They do everything on the basis of things that are acquired through corruption. So when you want to stop it, they are going to kill you. They are going to ensure that you are neutralized. These are the people that you are fighting against, because these are individuals whose conscience is dead. And they are going to do anything on earth to prevent you. In fact, when one chooses to fight corruption, one must remember that he or she can't be eliminated at all times. And what President Buhari, and indeed any other president in the world, must do is to recruit the population. If the population has been wedded to the idea that corruption is a bad thing, then that is the beginning of the success of that battle. When I see, for example, your former Minister for Petroleum being investigated in the United Kingdom without being a sadist, I'm very happy. Because if you look at the wealth that he is alleged to have accumulated, that is unexplained wealth. Even if she lived for 1,000 years, she would never make that kind of money. James Ibori, who was prosecuted, convicted, and served sentence in the United Kingdom. What lacks in Africa is punishment. Impunity is alive and well in Africa. And we, the electorate, as I say, times without number, are in the business of celebrating thieves. We must stop. Yesterday, Barrister Farana said it very well, that we camouflage theft by giving them nice English names: money laundering, fraud, embezzlement, and all those veneers that make them look as if it is some kind of nice game. Let us call these men and women by the right name. They are thieves, stealing on an industrial scale. They are murderers. And once we begin to call them like that, and they have a mark of Cain upon their forehead, and we shun them, has it been done in African countries? Yes, it has been done. And I keep on repeating, in countries such as Tanzania, they are being dealt with. In Rwanda, they are being dealt with. In Mauritius, they are being dealt with. In Botswana, they are being dealt with. Once you begin to deal with them, then the others who may want to behave like them will begin to take the cue. We must, in the nature of things, earn what we earn through the sweat of our brow. That is the only way in which Africa will realize their potential. Many of these individuals who are in positions of leadership in Africa don't want to leave because they are thieves. And they are scared. They are scared that if they left office, they would be prosecuted. And my view is that they should be prosecuted. You know, individuals such as Hissène Habré, who we know what he did, was it in Chad, are a good example to the leadership that impunity will not thrive. Because I've been talking to a friend of mine from the Cameroons who tells me what is happening in their country right now. And other African countries are blind to it. It doesn't even occupy the headlines of the neighboring newspapers of the country's neighbors' newspapers. Yet the Cameroon now should be in the same position as we see the conflict in Catalan in Spain. Yet we are attacking it in page 13 in newspapers in Nigeria, in Liberia, and other countries. The time has come that Africa must learn and realize that the world is not bothered about Africa. The world is only bothered about Africa when they want to take the resources of Africa. Then they bother. They want oil, they bother. And I'm using the word bother in a very deliberate fashion, not in the traditional orthodox fashion. They bother when they want to take our timber. They bother when they want to take our bauxite, when they want to take our cocoa, when they want to take our uranium. But they don't bother about us. They come to our continent without disrespecting the elephant, and they want to preserve the elephant so that they can come and watch the elephant, but they don't care if 100 Africans die. They want to preserve our monkeys. They want to preserve our leopards and our other animals, but they don't care about us. To them, Africa is a zoo of sorts. And until the day that we Africans realize that we are on our own, we are going nowhere. And very soon they are going to shut us out, if they have not shut us out already. We'll not go to the United States of America, we'll not go to Europe, and I'm happy that we are being forced to stay in Africa. Let us stay in Africa and build Africa. I mean, what does Africa lack in terms of resources? What do we lack? If it is solar energy, which continent is capable of producing solar energy to light this continent and the entire earth? If it is hydroelectricity, what can we not generate? If it is minerals, if we wanted to make bombs, if we should, where do they get their uranium from? If it is timber, what don't we have? If it is human resources, we are 2 billion of us. And we are people who have intelligence. And yet we are kept in a constant state of conflict. The Europeans, the French persuading their former colonies that they are more French than they are Yoruba. They are more French than they are Wolofs and Mandinkas. The British persuading us that we are more British than we are Ibibio or Yoruba. And of course, when we find ourselves in that schizophrenic state, then we engage in internal conflict and they sell their arms to us. Tell me, which African country makes guns? None. I think Africans must recognize that bad governance is harmful to their very well-being, not only for the current generation, but generations yet to be born. This is a continent that has always had potential. These are a people that have always had potential. But since we regained our independence from the colonialists, African leaders in many countries have consistently demonstrated that they are not working in the interest of their people. And that is sad, because many of the individuals who occupied positions of leadership are still beholden to the colonial masters. We see former French colonized nations leaders who are beholden to Paris, those who are colonized by Portugal beholden to Lisbon, those who are colonized by Belgium beholden to Brussels, those colonized by the United Kingdom beholden to London, and the single country that was colonized by Spain, Equatorial Guinea, beholden to Madrid. And this is tragic. Of course, currently, many African leaders are getting beholden to Beijing, and progressively the United States of America in Washington. The net effect is that the African agenda is being sacrificed to the detriment of the peoples. And we have examples which are live as I speak. The problems in the Cameroon, the problems in Togo, the problems in South Sudan, the problem in Central African Republic, in Mali, in Mauritania. And these are sad things. And the tragic thing is that the African Union appears to be helpless in this situation. Africa has been victimized by systems of government which we do not understand and which are not serving us well. And the time is now to wake up and to begin to find African solutions to African problems. Is it doable? Yes, it is. But we must wake up from our slumber, because those who are in positions of leadership are quite comfortable with the situation as it is. We must have something in the nature of an Arab Spring. The Arab streets woke up and they told their leaders, you are going to do that which is in our best interest. Unfortunately, some of the gains made after the Arab Spring have been clawed back. And that is a lesson for us, that if you regain your independence, you must remain eternally vigilant, because the forces of reaction are very persistent. You know what is amazing about the African Union, which is the immediate success of the OAU, is that it's beginning to let Africa down. I was amazed about a month ago when Zimbabwean president, whom I respected in his early days as a freedom fighter and as a man of vision and intellect, when he went to the African Union and made a donation of $1 million, and the African Union accepted it, in a situation where the people in Zimbabwe are suffering, where there is almost 80 to 90% unemployment. And the reason why the African Union has become, as you rightly say, a toothless bulldog is because there are no leaders who are true crusaders for the agenda of the African Union in the manner that we had in the early days, when we had Nkrumah, when we had Nyerere, when we had Haile Selassie, when we had Gamal Abdel Nasser. Today, in a very perverted concept of non-interference in the affairs of other nations, and in a perverted understanding of the idea of sovereignty, people are not their brothers and sisters' keepers, so that we know that there is a festering wound in South Sudan, and we are doing nothing about it. We know there is a festering wound in the Cameroons, and we are doing nothing about it. A festering wound in Togo, and we are doing nothing about it. And even when the leaders congregate in Addis Ababa for their annual jamboree, they don't discuss these problems. Right now, I would have thought that there should be an extraordinary session of the African Union to discuss a number of things, to discuss the countries which are in trouble, and I'm mentioning them ad nauseum, to ask the question, what is the problem in the Central African Republic? How can it be resolved? What is the problem in Togo, in Gambia, in the Cameroons, and in many other countries, so that we have African solutions to African problems. Because what we'll see very shortly is that the UN will sit down and send a peacekeeping force. And when there is no peace to be kept, and they send peacekeeping forces, when, in a manner of speaking, the horse will have bolted away. So the African Union is very disappointing. When Dr. Mahamat was appointed as the chairman of the commission, I thought that this was a new person that would come with new energy to replace Nkosana and Lamini Zuma. But what I see is lethargy. What I see is lack of enthusiasm. What I see is lack of direction. What I see is continued pain. I was amazed about a month ago, if I'm not wrong, when the international community asked the African Union to nominate a country to sit in the Security Council, and they nominated the Democratic Republic of Congo. How can you possibly nominate the Democratic Republic of Congo, whose president has refused to hold election, whose country is generating refugees, whose government is controlling Kinshasa only in real terms, and where there is conflict everywhere, and where the resources are being taken away by the Chinese, the Malaysians, and the Belgians, and other rogue individuals from Europe and America, and you nominate such a person? You nominate...
I want to call upon the people of Abazonia today, wherever you are in the diaspora in Abazonia itself, that in a struggle you are bound to have divisions. But divisions should not divert you from the main focus, the main challenge. We have struggled to expose the happenings, the human rights abuses in Abazonia. The army has killed hundreds and hundreds of thousands, burnt houses of people, internet was cut off, schools were closed, dispensaries, hospitals were burnt down. Abazonians should not be intimidated by Paul Robia. It is not upon the leaders of Abazonia, because I am not from Abazonia, but I've played a pivotal role in making sure that I loud out the voices, I put out the call, I call upon AU, EU, United Nations, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International. Many of them have listened to some of the things that I say here, and they have come at last. America, United States of America, is slowly moving towards giving the Abazonian people the dignity they deserve. I therefore call upon the leaders and the leadership of the Abazonian people to unite for a purpose. The unity of purpose is paramount, as opposed to disunity, which has nothing but only produces ego that we have seen in South Sudan. What has killed South Sudan is not because they don't have the money, the minerals, the resources. It's ego between Riek Machar and Salva Kiir. We would not like to see that ego come to the people of Abazonia, the leadership of Abazonia. I call upon Samuel Sako, Akanga, Miran, and Eko to unite and talk with one voice on international scene that will bring about the peace, the tranquility that you yearn for since 1961, when the resolution 1608 was abandoned by the United Nations General Assembly and Abazonia was annexed by the Cameroon government by then. I call upon you, my brothers, to pick up the unity call and free your people without disintegration. Thank you. Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Punchline Africa after a long break of holiday. Of holiday in Kenya. We also took a short break to see how we can pick further energy. And we are back today on this great day of ours in this studio together with me, to move on with the African program, to move on with making Africa better, to make Africa a place that the future generation will live to see, will want to live in, to make Africa a stable place, a conflict-free zone, to talk about issues that can change Africa, to talk about what ails Africa, what destroys Africa, why are we at loggerheads at each other in Kenya, for example? Why don't we want unity of purpose? Why don't you want a legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta? He says he needs to leave a legacy of a united, prosperous Kenya. You can't unite a country. You can't leave a country not united and expect anything that you want to lead a country after Uhuru has left. You must have a united state. People talking the same language. People engaging themselves. Today, the first country in Africa. And before I move further, I want to introduce my co-host. I only stopped near the name and then went the Cuban way. The Cubans, once you go for any diplomatic mission in Cuba, you will be told that do it yourself. There's no protocol, there's no master of ceremonies in Cuba. In Cuba, you come up and introduce yourself. So Miriam,
good morning.
My guest, I am the guest today of Miriam. She will fire me questions on Africa in the last 60 years. How far has Africa been? How far have we gone? What have we done for Africa? What have we done for this continent of Africa? What can we do best for this continent? So this morning, I'm joined with none other than Miriam Ogutu, our Punchline presenter, host, news anchor, analyst. Say everything you want to say about it. And welcome back to the show.
Thank you. And good morning.
You took a break.
And a happy birthday. It's your birthday today.
Oh, fine. Thank you very much, Abraham Untai, watching right straight on. I am very honored to be here. I usually don't celebrate my birthdays.
It's a blessing.
I give them to people to celebrate. I want criticism. I want compliments that have made me look like a flower cannot grow without sunshine, neither can it grow without water. Had you ever heard of that?
Yes.
You need rain, you need sunshine for a flower to grow. So if you have one of them, the flower will be destroyed completely. So I am happy for the haters who have insulted me, abused my name, character assassinated me, prostituted my name. I wanted to thank you. Also equally friends who have been there for me in the last 64 years of my existence on planet Earth. Above all, God, thank you very much for keeping me like this. And I'm happy I'm talking, I'm seeing some people who might not even know the history and who might actually think, oh, this guy is he's younger. Yes, in Africa we are used to people with gray hair. Our clan does not have gray hair until it clicks 80. So my gray hair will come around. If I'm here, God will give me about that gray hair about 80 years to come. And it also shows to you that if you are strict with life, strict with one of the ways of code of conduct, you make your bed in the morning. I think I leave those questions for you to ask. Why are you at this age? And the people are asking so many, oh, you don't look like that age. I will answer those questions later if Miriam will remember to ask them. But this morning we want to go back in history and look the 64 years that I've lived. But before we do that, we shall look into the Kenyan scenario, the newspaper headlines, what is going on in Kenya. Then we come to the 64 years, which way Africa? What have I seen? The experience. What achievements have I done for Africa, especially for Africa? I'm talking about Africa because there are outstanding achievements that some of us have contributed, have taken part in, and we have won. We are today happy because of that contribution made by our forefathers. And today I added something at my age. So I will talk about it today. Thank you. Over to you, Miriam, to introduce the Kenyan news.
All right. Thank you so much, our viewers, wherever you're watching us from. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are this morning here across the globe. A lot is happening out there, but first, normally, we will start with the Kenyan news-making headlines here, and we look at the three leading newspapers here in Kenya, and we see the Star, not so much on the headlines there. So there was a priest that was murdered over the weekend there, and police are trying to investigate that. And they found very interesting links. Doctor, there's a story here I was reading on just a few minutes before we got here. The United States now bars graft suspects, drug lords are put on notice, and the U.S. has said, you know what, if you've even been remotely named that you are on corruption or on drugs, you are not going to the United States. How will this affect certain people? And also something very interesting that the U.S. ambassador to Kenya mentioned, that even your family will not be allowed to go there and study. You will not use the money that you're getting ill to go and pay for your children's school fees in the United States. So how will this affect a lot of, especially these people who, they plunder the country, run the economy dry, and their families get the best out there through the money that has been ill-gotten?
You know what? One thing I want to be proud of and happy about is I tell the truth. I told you, don't start making your drums early. The signal is there. Go slow, my brother. Don't chest bump. I told you. The problem is that you are blinded with money. You are blinded with psychophancy. You are blinded with people who tell you only good things. You don't want to listen to the Matsangas who might be meaning well. You don't listen. You see now, it's going there. It's going there. It's going there. And we are going to arrive there. Be prepared for the signs. The signs Jesus said in the Bible. The return of the Son of God, the return, the revelation, you will see the signs in the sky. The signs in the sky are here. They are here. Don't think the United States does not gather evidence on who got tender X, tender Y, tender W.
Yes.
They have.
The intelligence.
That's why they have an embassy here. So don't think you'll tell a lie that I got this money from selling pigs. I got this money from selling cows. I got this money from selling goats. They will make you count for how many goats you have nurtured. Me, I have nothing. Nothing. Petty. My accounts are red. I'm happy. There's nothing, because I have not got involved in any tendering in this country called Kenya, or anything that I do or use my position or my friendship with people to acquire. I'm happy that there you are,
So
but it is coming.
So for the first time, the visa ban, of course, has touched on spouses and children, and including students. If your child cannot go study in the United States, this will really, because usually the ban will be on just the person and perhaps the spouse.
Can I tell you one thing,
yes,
Mama?
Yes.
You just need to go to American embassy now and check yourself if you can even travel near the Kenya Airways flight at Jomo Kenyatta Airport.
The New York flight, yes.
Yes, that's it. You will know you are not wanted there. You are not a wanted visitor. Just check. Ugandans used to insult me. Museveni used to insult me. I used to tell him that these things are coming your place. I'm one of those who hate this type of sanctions against Africans. And as I'm going to explain to you, in my history of 64 years of existence on planet Earth, thanks God to my mom, who produced me in 1955, the year of our Lord, 3:30 p.m. in Buchiga dispensary. I was hammered out. I will show you the picture, very nice picture, held by one of my my uncles. Look, I have never been shy of the truth. If you look at my head at that day of production, it could show my head is not like Morgan Changarai's head. It's not a pumpkin. It could show that this head has something. When I was born, when they were carrying me like this, in a picture taken by a camera, those days in 1955. So life moves on. Life engages. And I told him, Seven, that go slow. The whole government of Uganda, everybody is gone. And they are not seeing it. They are even slow to see what is going on there. The Americans have swept all of them. All these generals who run around here tell us they have houses in Muyenga. You will only sleep there. They have fixed them. I'm telling you. Whoever has done that Uganda part of it was very classic. It must be an inside part, an inside NRM system of intelligence itself that reported itself. If you look at the list that is lying there, and you know the worst thing, diplomats in Uganda are even trying to tell the president we are all right. You are not all right. These are Ugandans, over 2,000 Ugandans are on a blacklist of United States, which will be followed by European Union. And now they will follow, they want to come further to African countries. Those who allow you to go there and the banker there, you also have a problem with them. You see? And the Ugandans thought, oh, this man is in Nairobi, he talks too much. They go and tell the president lies. I don't care now anymore. It is up to them. If they tell lies, I am all right. I don't have anything I've corrupted. And I don't need to go to America. Because I live in North America. I live in a place that gave America civilization. I don't have a problem there. No. And I will never do anything to ask, to support sanctions against my fellow African. That's why I stood against anybody who gave sanctions on Mugabe. My record on sanctions is very clear. Targeted sanctions, whether they are targeted at any individual in Kenya, will hurt the economy. Because the individual could be the president, could be the deputy president, could be minister, could be. So this minister will not execute his functions or her functions. They will affect the local masses. Sanctions in Africa don't harm the money you have put. This man can send people to bank money. This man can send people to go and buy clothes in Harrods and bring suitcases of clothes. You think Mugabe was not having clothes? Mugabe's suits were coming from Harrods by people that he used to send. But Britain had given Mugabe sanctions. I'm telling you, when they called for people to get Mugabe's bank statement or material, they didn't say bank statement, they said documents. I am one who went and collected them from the Barclays Bank in Piccadilly Circus. The man had owned 10,000 pounds. A president who had led a country for olives for almost, by then, 2002 was 22 years. You tell me. He wasn't greedy like these guys. Some of these guys are very greedy. You know, at times you wonder if you give them a chance, they can sell the whole parliament. And you can, to be very honest, you can have a parliament, you are sitting in as members of parliament debating, but the mortgage is somewhere else. So be careful. I told people, be careful. Don't start a war too early. All generals who fight wars, we are specific. They go slowly, step by step. Step by step. A good general does not start a war and start sending jet fighters ahead to go and hit an imaginary enemy. This is what has happened. And you are going to see more coming. United States of America has given you a signal.
It's given us, but also while they were giving this information, also the US said that they are putting a stop to the construction of the Nairobi-Mombasa free expressway, citing the country's debt levels. So they are concerned about the country's debt levels. Are they right to do that?
That is cheap bargaining, political hypocrisy, and insanity. And I hope the United States ambassador is listening to my speech. That is a CIA mechanism that kills Africa. Why do you stop a project which will benefit millions because of few individuals that you have already cited out? That's it. You have already cited the individuals you want. And why do you punish Kenyans? By refusing to give Kenya the road. Why do you punish them? You have already got the men you want. You have already cited the names you want. Why do you punish a country? Why do you stop a road from going through which will enable the infrastructure of this country to develop, to send their goods to the coast, to export them through and earn a living? Because of individuals, you have already hammered sanctions. Hammer them, follow them. If they have a case with you, take them and charge them. But you don't punish the whole country. That is wrong, Mr. Makatel. What is the name of this ambassador?
We'll get
who pretends to talk Swahili and so on. What is his name? Tell me the name.
So he's worried about the debt.
Me, I'm not a diplomat. I'm an activist. There are so many activists in the United States, like George Clooney, who comes here to profile Africans. Therefore, we as Africans also must have the George Clooneys who profile America.
Kyle Makata.
Yes, Kyle Makata. I have now got the name.
Kyle, yes.
His Excellency Kyle Makata. Yes. That policy is a macabre.
So you feel this and the suspects?
You can't put Kenya. No. You can't deny these people entry into
the United States.
And then deny Kenyans the ability to develop.
Okay.
You just brought the sanctions to stifle the politics, to create a regime change. Can I rest? Can I rest?
So whatever he's saying about the debt levels of the country, this argument does not hold.
It doesn't hold. To any intelligent man who has gone to school better than Makata, like me, an African, I've gone to school. Can he tell me which school did he go to that I did not go to? I went to a school, a better school in London, not even in the US. If in London you don't cheat an exam, like in the US, you can buy a degree. And come here and say you're a professor. I went to school. Let him tell me what rationale they have used. If you have barred this man from going to US, why do you bar the country? Nijibu, viewers out there, why don't you go and bar Buhari? Buhari is killing people in Addis Ababa, in Abuja. Buhari is torturing Biafrans. Why don't you start with Buhari first? Why are you coming to countries that have stabilized the region? Kenya has destabilized this region. Kenya is an island in this region of peace. Kenya is holding refugees from all parts of the world. Why do you want to stifle it, to disintegrate it, to dismember it? Tell me, Makata. Tell me. You have already targeted people. Then you say you will not even give them the road. Go to hell. You need Mugabe style of telling these people off. First they took our resources. Then they have come back to take our lives and souls. They put us through international agencies of ICC. These guys started dismembering Kenya with Ambassador Rainbagger. This monster Rainbagger was here pretending to marry a Kenyan, and then he went on to write 6 names of Kenyans to deliver them to the International Criminal Court. Silly! And the Kenyans are keeping quiet, clapping. They don't want to talk. Shame on you. Shame on you. Had I not woken up, had I not walked 256 flights on Kenya Airways to go and start an activism in Europe, this court was going to sentence innocent people. Not that people did not die, people died. But the investigations were shallow, hollow, prudish, sardonic, full of insanity, pit holes of insanity, headed by a monster called Luis Moreno Campo. Tell me, a man who, a gambler, how can the world choose a gambler to be a prostitute? Why did America watch this happen? We chose Ocampo, a gambler, became a prostitute of International Criminal Court, fixing countries in Africa that had a problem with the United States. When it came to United States to be fixed, it said, prostitute, don't step here.
They gave her a ban.
Yes.
Actually, yeah, they gave Fatou Bensouda a ban to the United States, so she cannot go there, and because they wanted to charge the United States.
It is sad. Mm-hmm. It's a very sad situation, Miriam, that you see double standards played, that you see the anger, the agony, the pain of Africans. You can't now blacklist Africans, and then you have blacklisted Kenyans. Then you refuse to give the Kenyan people the road, the aid that you have. Why? These guys might not be even driving on this road. They might be flying in air. So viewers, my dear brothers, I am telling you frankly, and sisters, this sanction thing, view it with a mirror on both sides. It could be those guys, but then Americans are showing you that they will go for these other people.
Yes, indeed. And Chuk Sunday, thank you so much for watching. He's wishing you a happy birthday. Princess Nash Eso is also wishing you a happy birthday. Dominique Nwandu, you're saying a happy birthday to Doctor. And you're also adding there that you are the best. And Kiplangat Abraham Utai, you're saying enemies are good. We must cherish them since they indicate we are indeed doing something. Enemies makes us stronger. Matanga David, I used to disagree with you until I sat down with you and realized you're a general who means well for Africa. Bismarck Bura, you're saying tough talk there, a tough talk, and good on you. And Ukwa Uba, you're saying God bless Biafra, God bless you. Dr. Matanga, thank you so much. Keep writing to us, and as you do that, please let us know where you're watching us from this morning. Indeed, today Doctor is celebrating his 64th birthday, so thank you so much that you could find time to be with us today on the show. And also yesterday, Doctor was watching the news, and President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga came out, and the BBI report should be ready before the end. They should be handed to them before the end of this week. And we saw the level of, the criticism, especially over the weekend, even yesterday, from a section of political section in this country.
BBI
is ready.
I want to tell Kenyans, and I hope they listen today. If those who don't listen, tell them. It is the name that might matter, but the offer is here. I'm sorry. Redemption strategy man is here. I'm the only person here who spoke about redemption strategy 926 times. 926 times on television. I made it very clear that the need for redemption strategy in Kenya was very paramount. I want to thank the president for having listened and took a step forward and moved further and shook hands with Raila to create a condition for a redemption strategy. Perhaps the people of Kenya don't know what a redemption strategy is. It's BBI. Redemption strategy is this, and let me teach. Accountability, reconciliation, truth-telling, reparations, restitution. Are we there? And then finally, restitution. And the last word, if you combine these these 5 items, you combine them, you will arrive to one word called healing. Healing. That's a redemption strategy. Any country in Africa that does not do a redemption strategy is lost in the darkness or in the wilderness of Sahara Desert. In Uganda, the Lord Resistance Army killed people for 22 years. President Museveni went on chest bumping everywhere in the world. I will hold them, I will kill them, I will slaughter them, I will do this. He never did. A redemption strategy of the man speaking, of Rwakana Rugunda, of Chisano, of President Museveni himself, of Riek Machar, the African Union, the European Union, the United Nations, the Commonwealth, the IGAD delivered Uganda to peace, not the guns. Never. Guns would not have brought tranquility in northern Uganda. President Museveni, if you are hearing, disagree with me and I will see. Because guns would have not done so. It is this mouth and other people. We went to the bush. We looked for Kony, brought him out, and said, sit on the table. run. It is not our problem. Our problem was stop the war that had killed people for 22 years. The Uganda government put people in concentration camps claiming that they were protecting them, which was a strategy of military operations. Thank you, but you needed a redemption strategy. Anybody in Kenya who is even talking about BBI and who is talking against it is mad. You should actually just take them to which hospital here? Mathare. Take Murukomen. That Murukomen should go and study again. He has nothing in the head. Senator Murukomen is useless in terms of being a leader of majority. A redemption strategy cleans politics. This politics of you extending system mortuary and making tents to accommodate dead bodies every 5 years should stop. Should stop. Go to northern Uganda today. Go to northern Uganda today. Go and see the peace, the development. I thank President Museveni. He implemented the agreement that we did in Juba without hesitation. Thank you, Your Excellency. I will thank Ruakana Rugunda, is my partner. And Ruakana Rugunda will not say Masanga did not, if I were not there, we would not achieve what we did achieve. That's a redemption, healing. The Ugandans decided that although Konyi has committed crimes, we as Ugandans have forgiven Konyi. And let him come back home with his combatants. Do what we call mataput. Mataput. Alternative mechanisms of justice. Today I'm teaching you. Mataput is alternative mechanisms of justice. The people in Kenya kill each other because of elections. That's why Murkomen is shouting louder and insulting BBI before he sees even what is in BBI. You insult the integrity of people who framed it. You have no idea to frame even one motion in the Senate. You can't frame a motion in the Senate that will benefit people. Let this thing be brought out for discussion to changane na hawa to haki ya Mungu utaona. They are using money. This money will be useless. To our feet, we shall defeat these guys. I told you about Ekuro Ekot. Where is he? He can't talk. He's hiding. He's about to hide now. I told you. And don't underrate me on this. I might not be a Kenyan, but I know politics. I studied this politics of Great Lakes region. I studied it. If you give me and Murkom an exam, I will defeat him. In fact, I will finish while he's writing page 1 on the politics of Great Lakes region. Don't allow these rubbish people to again bring divisions here. Election in Kenya has become a ritual of killing people. Every 5 years, people get worried. Maybe death is coming. The system mortuary is extended. Morticians are called because people are going to die over an election. Why can't we have a stop on this? Walai, you people. It's a redemption strategy. You can call it BBI. I said it 926 times. It's called a redemption strategy. One television station in Kenya and one interviewer called Ian Wafula named me Mr. Redemption. Producers in K24 hated me. And Opondo told them I should leave because I was talking about redemption, simply because he had very little knowledge of what redemption means. These are some of the people who went to aviation college and picked up documents. And then they became editors because of talking bad politics. Oh, I will be very good, I'm a lawyer. I will be doing politics for you in the studio, giving me the job. But if you put them on real merit, they don't know what to do. They only steal people's documents, like they stole my punchline and they gave to that small girl called Anna Chiguta. I respect her because she's somebody's wife, I know. Otherwise, to court, we would have torn each other here on my name, which they are using. They have no ideas. But if you're a professor of a doctor of this status, let some people steal your ideas. And if she's using it to earn a living for our children to grow, I'm happy. Isn't it? When she sits and says, punchline, it's Matanga. Don't you feel ashamed that you have used Matanga's word without coming to say, thank you, doctor? So my age, you don't quarrel over things. You leave them to go. Some people were telling me, go to court to stop it. Why should I fight a television station of my brother? That's what I am. That's why I don't have a scar in my face. For 64 years, no scar, because I don't cheat people. No scar. People who cheat people have scars with pangas. They come cut you because they want my dear. So redemption strategy is important for Kenya. Anybody talking about it, you brought it. That's why I'm explaining. Yes. Now you know. Reconciliation. Kenyans, you tell me which Kenyan wants violence after elections. Who? If there is one Kenyan, then that one must have come from hell and has come back, escaped fire, and he has returned to us.
All right, and talking about redemption strategy, Doctor, and here you mentioned that alternative mechanisms of justice, that is what was needed to solve the problem, to settle the problem, the conflict in Uganda and also in Kenya, alternative mechanisms of justice. And now we see that perhaps I should just bring in Sudan right now, South Sudan, because we have some news about it. And over the weekend, the United Nations Security Council officials are supposed to have visited the country. And on Saturday, Mr. Riek Machar was in Juba. Actually, he came there to see that this process and the implementation of the revitalized peace deal actually holds come 12th of November. What could be other alternative mechanisms of justice that you would suggest for the situation in South Sudan?
There will what? South what?
South Sudan.
Riek
Machar was there on Saturday.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you here on this desk? I told you.
Yes. And IGAD was, I think, on Friday also tried to push him to come, so he came on Saturday.
Yes.
And the United Nations Security Council was there on Sunday.
You listen. Have you seen that what I said is coming true? Mm-hmm. Riek this morning I said is not coming. He's not in this. Mm-hmm. Have you seen the latest breaking news?
Oh, he said that.
Yes, he's here. Mm-hmm. He says he's not coming. He's not ready. You know why? I told you. These IGAD people, they don't listen to me. I'm a great friend of Dr. Riek Machar. I know Riek Machar in and out. I know what he's eating right now. They have not involved me. I would have given them very technical advice on how to run this peace agreement. First of all, the Sudan peace agreement was done wrongly. They started with political settlement instead of accountability. Believe me or not, Sudanese, South Sudanese, you will hate me, go to heaven, let me go to hell. From now onwards, my words are never minced. You hate me, fine. What do I have of yours? Do I have anything? Do you see George Clooney putting my name in your things? Oh, mnatisha watu. Let me tell you today. From now onwards, listen to me. The South Sudan agreement or peace initiative was flawed from the day one.
From the start.
It could not work. It might not work. We shall be left with more tears. Why? We should have started with accountability. You can't start planning to resettle who and where, to assemble who and where. Where are you assembling those troops? What have they done? The troops you are assembling, what did they do?
Because that is one of the contentious issues that is between these two warring parties.
Yes, what did they do? Riak still says they came to kill me. The other ones also said they came to kill us. Now you are assembling them again.
Together.
And these are not small numbers. These are huge numbers of troops. Let's do accountability first. Let's say, what can we do now that 384,000 Sudanese are missing from this good earth planet Earth? They are not here. They have been eaten by crocodiles in Nile. They have rotten in the forest of South Sudan. Let's agree first, like we agreed in the Uganda peace process, that Konyi and the UPDF both have killed. Tell me, I'm here.
Taking responsibility.
Yes. Yes. IGAD has not done that. Anybody watching me, give me more salute. Give it to me. I have no regrets. First, let's agree, both sides. Uganda People's Defense Forces, the Lord Resistance Army, killed. Because both sides did not use water. There was no UPDF that used water to shoot at Konyi. And the Konyi did not use water to shoot at UPDF and abducting civilians. No, they all used the bullets. They killed. In conflict resolution, isolate one thing and let these guys who are running the Security Council, rubbish. What Security Council? They are running in Sudan. Ask them. If Riak doesn't see, Riak, you are seeing in my room when I left my bedroom. I called you. I said, listen to what I'm going to say. And listen to it, my elder brother. Just pick this bag and say exactly what you have said today has pleased me. The peace process has not been properly structured. You are now assembling huge troops. You are only seizing hostility. You haven't even seized completely hostility. One of the reasons why the Uganda peace process was successful, we seized hostility. Two, we earmarked the area of badness. We wanted Konyi to accept the war must end. In this one, Riek Machar is halfway down the grave and walking, and Riek, and then Salva Kiir is halfway down, also walking. He says, but, do you not see that all of them have got but? Riek Machar said, but. Salva Kiir is saying, but. So there is no peace agreement here. It's a political arrangement that can create us more problems. Once you assemble these troops, one group could come and overrun the other one.
Possible. And also, apart from the troops, I think there is also one of the contentious issues that they've not agreed on. Also, there's the matter of boundaries, because when South Sudan got its independence in 2011, there were about 10, what do you call them, counties or regions, and now it's about 32. And it is said that it has been done, and analysts are using the word gerrymandering in the context of...
It has been gerrymandered.
Yes.
In the process that the peace agreement comes in two systems. Some side has more. And remember, the struggle for South Sudan is oil. Underneath it, people are not telling you, All the Security Council wearing their shirts and dresses under this. You know they know when they are coming to Africa, they go and pull old jeans from New York to wear to come to Africa. Please wear good dress when you are coming here. You are showing, signifying how bad the country is. Why do you wear clothes you have not ironed with iron box? When you sleep in good hotels. You saw some of them who were addressing press conference in Juba. Why don't you iron your clothes and be disciplined? Because you have come to Africa, you wear them sharply like that. So, it symbolizes how you are going to discuss the issue. The issue of South Sudan needs both sides have to admit that both of them killed.
And take responsibility.
Yes. Believe me or not.
So the hybrid court.
I told you.
Which Amnesty is pushing for.
I told you.
And also Human Rights Watch is pushing.
I told you. Nobody has. Nobody. I told you. Believe me. Nobody has. They don't know. I have told Riak, his people to tell him. And I want to repeat here, Dr. Mukhtar, please tell Dr. Riak Machar. That's where the thing is heading, where the things are heading. How do you get Mr. Reinberger, who took Ruto and President Uhuru Kenyatta to prison, almost to prison? Had we not fought, these guys were going to go for life sentence, and you make him your ambassador, your advisor. Surely, are you running mad in Africa? That's the man who created the ICC to take Kenyans, and he pasted, cut and paste to fix Uhuru Kenyatta, to fix Ruto, to fix the rest of Campus 6. I came in and destroyed his fury. So don't. South Sudan can only start moving nicely when both sides accept they killed.
They take responsibility.
What is lacking there is that word, accept responsibility. And then we move on. We move on. Of course, Peter Deng, you are saying everybody wants to rule, but until they accept that they are Sudanese that were killed, you know where the vacuum is.
And that are still killed.
Yes.
Are being killed.
Even those who want to take leadership and agree, they must say, tuliua kidogo, watu walikufa.
This is true.
The Uganda problem was very solved quickly. And the Riek Machar moved in Agenda 1, Agenda 2, Agenda 3, Agenda 4, Agenda 5. We finished. We finished. I've endorsed it. It's in history. You know, now we are combining all these topics. We are talking about what have you done. I've done it. Look at that agreement that Museveni has and Rwanda. It has Matanga's signature, not your signature. We've done it. The peace has returned in northern Uganda. People sleep on trees, on the grass until morning. The only thing that is killing them is poverty. So I am not a government to solve poverty problems.
It's interesting that Machar was able to be part of the delegation that helped bring peace in Uganda, and also President Salva Kiir is part of the people who are responsible in trying to bring the different factions together in Sudan and see that Sudan has peace. These two people, they do not want to do the same for their own country. I do not understand.
They can't, because the method that has been used in the South Sudan peace process is flawed.
It's flawed.
IGAD did not. You see, you can't. IGAD has no money. IGAD has to go to these men and borrow money. This is so-called big security men. The big brothers. Money has to come from European Union. Money has to come from somewhere. We could have solved the South Sudan issue properly had we gone my method. When the war broke, I wrote a document to Amina Mohammed. Amina Mohammed was the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Kenya. She's still alive. Ask her when you meet her on a plane. I told her, you have this one, if you don't do it this way, you have a problem. Houston. South Sudan problem needed a direct envoy, special envoy from the Security Council, paid by the Security Council, who has a mandate to order for shooting or arresting. Not these flower girls and the flower boys running around. These are warring parties. They are using gun to kill. You can't bring in a laughing man like a Magoe of the former president of Botswana. What can he do? You need Rawlings there. You need that Bado Basanjo there. You need Chisano. Chisano is a freedom fighter. He's a soldier. He will know that this now is lying. He will say Riek Machar is lying. He will say Salva Kiir is lying. No. Chisano used to tell me, Matanga, you are lying with Kony. He used to go to Museveni and say, you are also lying. We need this peace process to move on, Your Excellency. And we moved on. But this South Sudan issue, it has no everybody is a saint. Nobody is pressurizing the government of South Sudan to adhere to the peace agreement. Nobody is pressurizing. Why is it that Mr. Riek Machar wants to come only when UN is around? It's because he has not trusted this guy.
No, he does not.
You are now on my page. I told you.
But even IGAD on Fridays, I think it was very categorical, and they told President Salva Kiir that he must make the situation conducive if he wants Machar to return.
The situation in Juba is not conducive.
It's not.
And Machar can surrender he has only his one life.
So
he has lost his child. His son is gone. The one I know was killed. And Riek is not going. These guys don't want to use us. They want to be on these planes themselves alone. That's why things fail. What is wrong with you hiring a man who is going to give you good advice and persuade one warlord? You eat the money of IGAD, Jamin. You are just eating money. Just as they were eating money on this ICJ, that we are going for mediation. Wapi mediation, Kwand? Wapi? Wagwana? Wapi? Where is it? I just went for 1 month in The Hague, in around Europe. 1 month. The court was in this point 1, point 2, point 3. The judge is the wrong man. Why is he there? So you have seen they have now, I scattered them. Then they postponed this thing when the judge has retired. He's 9 years in the court in February 2020. David.
so the case has been
postponed. Oh my God, don't you see they can't do otherwise.
So when is the judge expected to retire?
In March, in February.
Okay.
So don't you see? So people were going to tell us lies. We are going there. Go where? Go where? Go and do what there? That case the case of Kenya in ICJ should be brought. Do you know where? Should be brought here. In Africa somewhere. Sit in a hall. Somalia is married to us. We are married to Somalia. Most of us have married Somali women quietly. Some people don't tell the truth. Yes, they are most beautiful women, Somali. They are married. We are intermarried. Now, how are we going to be? How can the ruling in The Hague help us? help Somali. We are going to live on this planet with them for 200 million or more years to come.
All right, and there's a question here by Kevin James. Thank you so much for watching us this afternoon. It's just a few minutes past noon here in Nairobi, and you're saying, what's your take on corruption in Kenya, the issue of joblessness and government paralyzing businesses by increasing taxes and trade licenses, also the issue of freight cargo by the SGR? I think these are some of the things that Kenyans are talking so much about over the weekend. So one of our viewers there wants to know, especially, what is your take on corruption here in the country?
It's very bad. But we have, so far, the DCI, DPP, EACC, they have tried their level best. What is making corruption in Kenya remain alive is Chief Justice Maraga.
And he's been very quiet.
Yeah, because he has nothing. You know why I refused to come to Mombasa? Why I refused to go inside the State House? Can I tell you? Because I have my card. I can show the public my card.
You were invited for the
of course.
Jadi celebration.
I have it. I have it. I was invited. I was invited. It's here. This is my card. The sitting, you can see the level. I was invited and I arrived there. And in this category of invitation, I was going to sit near Maraga.
What is wrong with that?
I refused.
Why?
I refused to attend inside, to go. I was in Mombasa. But I did not go in the State House for food. To sit with Maraga. Then do what? What do we tell each other? My card is here. Because some you Kenyans think it's a lie. It's here. Haven't you read it?
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I heard that this section is where the judges who have frustrated corruption are going to sit, I refused to go there. Corruption in Kenya cannot go away if you don't take some action of this nature. And they say, I'm not coming. I'm not going that route. You think I did not want to eat food and be seen on camera there with TV saying, that's Dr. Matanga. But I refused. Because what are you going there for? You are sitting with a man who does not help the government to take a decision on corruption. He allows his judges to make even more suggestions of releasing suspects on their own bond. Have you ever heard of that miracle anywhere?
Ozias Mutunzi here is saying, AU needs your advice, Dr. Matanga, and all civil wars in Africa, South Sudan included, are happening because AU is a toothless bulldog.
It's not only toothless, it's captured. Why don't you use better words, Isaiah?
Maybe the capturing is what has made it
toothless. It's captured. AU, until you remove this tall man from Chad desert, that desert of Chad, remove him, AU is not working. It will not work. The guy is on the payroll of the French. Let's take a break and play the tape of the ambassador whom this man of AU sacked.
The lady.
The lady.
All right.
Let's play it, Stephen. Let's play. And you see that you have touched the question of AU. See how incompetent the AU is. And see who is used in the AU to terminate the Matsangas. Is that man. Me, I told you that until if Musa Faki is still the chairperson, I will never step in the AU building. Those are the actions Africans could take. Why should the president of Africa waste our taxpayers' money to fly into a meeting which has been already, your phone is going to be tapped by France. They will know what you are talking in the meeting. And the man calling you is also paid money half under the bed and the mattress. How?
So you're listening to that clip? I don't know if it's...
And then the same people don't condemn Paul Obiya. They don't condemn Buhari for killing people, for killing Biafrans. You tell me that I go there to do what? Biafrans today in Southeast, there is something, genocide taking place quietly there. Nobody is talking. There is a genocide in Amazonia. Nobody is talking. There is a genocide in DRC Congo. People are killing each other. Planes are disappearing, then they are buried. A plane crashes, and the people are buried hurriedly.
The villagers buried. a plane that was carrying out some, for the president.
Yes, there is a proxy war looming around Burundi and Rwanda, and around Burundi, Rwanda, Uganda, Burundi. Uganda, Rwanda. A proxy war. Now they have created another proxy war on the Indian Ocean.
And I have the latest about Uganda, Rwanda situation.
Yes. Look at that. You have it. You have seen.
The latest. Yes.
The latest. You will read it. After the woman has spoken, then we go ahead. There is a proxy war they are creating in Indian Ocean over this oil. They had nothing to create a war this side. They have created it. Eritrea, Turkey, UAE, Qatar, and the USA. They create another one here. Turkey is arming Somalia with the most sophisticated weapons. Turkey is training Somali pilots secretly 1,000. So 1,000 is it the whole army of Africa? Huh? I've got all the maps, the locations where they are training them.
External forces.
External forces have come into the conflict. What do? We just keep quiet.
And also Russia now is preparing to host all African heads of state in Russia. They're saying they're ready and willing to help African countries without anything. There's no caveat, there's nothing they want from Africa. They just want to come in and help out Africa and advance, the infrastructure and development agenda here in Africa. I don't know. So we'll just look at this and see who else is coming to come.
As soon as Russia calls for Africa-Russia conference, America is going to call for Africa-America conference.
And China also will do this.
And China will call for China-Africa conference.
What a mess.
What a mess we are in. Then you see Mnangagwa smiling, landing there. Look, these countries have money. Why do they call us every day? You took from us. Call one president of Africa and say, from the money we took from you, this is now $200 million. Go and do something quickly.
This is the interest it has accumulated all these years.
Interest that has accumulated since we colonized you.
Since we stole from you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we are creating bad politics. of saying, now we shall stop the road because we have discovered a few corrupt people. When the banks in the United States collapsed, did the United States of America stop doing projects for the citizens? My friend, you don't joke with men who have studied. It is unfortunate you taught me how to teach. I studied in their university. There was a man in the United States who was doing mortgage for everybody. That bank collapsed. He was corrupt. He admitted. did the United States stop developing? Why do you stop us? Stop a road that you are going to construct, which would benefit very many people. Quick transport, safe transport, back taking tomatoes that are needed in Yemen from the hinterland. Yeah. Anybody out there to listen to this? It's up to you. Thank you very much. Let's play. I hope they are ready. We haven't seen how did the signal back here?
I think it's ready. If they've not come to, I think it's ready.
We were way ahead of them in our civilization. They set out to destroy us. And Berlin Conference put the nail on that coffin. So they gave Djibouti the same sovereignty as the United States. They gave Burundi the same sovereignty as China. They gave Togo. You see, the EU realizes individual little countries, they can't survive on the world stage. So they came together as the European Union. Now picture this now. So they cut up this Africa into the tiny little countries, small economies that could never survive on their own, but gave them the same sovereignty as the big boys. So that way, when the little bitty countries go to the world stage for the purposes of development and discussing trade, they're wannabe boxers who are being thrown into the heavyweight boxing ring every day. How do you put China in the same boxing ring with Eswatini? Eswatini has 1.2 million people. China has 1.4 billion people. And you put them on the same stage and say, go at it, negotiate. Are you with me? Yes. This is insanity of the highest order. How have we allowed this carnage to go on? When Eswatini is thrown in the same boxing ring with China and Eswatini collapses before Eswatini even gets on the stage, the world says, well, Eswatini, what's wrong with you? Why can't you take care of your people? Well, China came in and said, Eswatini, give me all your gold or else. And if Eswatini does not agree, they just go on next door to Lesotho and give Lesotho an extra $1. And if Lesotho doesn't take it, they just jump on to Togo, Central African Republic. It was all by design. 1884. They did something else in addition to chopping us up. They also set out to make the African believe that everything African was bad and undesirable, and everything Western, particularly French and British, was more desirable. We call that the legacy of colonization. Prior to that, they had started long working on the slaves. Make them think everything about them, forget anything about Africa. Where you come from is a horrible place, diseased and dying people, constantly at war with themselves, uncivilized. Cut out any communications with them. You need to just know what we tell you. And we call that the legacy of slavery. So that's where you look at where we are today. 135 years later, a system that was put in place to see to it that Africa and her children are forever defeated, that Africa is forever exploited, remains in place today, alive and well. And we sit here and we ask ourselves, why isn't Africa moving forward? Why does Africa continue to be taken advantage of? Well, I'll tell you why, very simply. Until Africa comes together as a continent speaking with one voice, one continent, one people, nothing, and I repeat, nothing is gonna change. As individual little African countries, we are wannabe boxers. we will never make it fighting against the heavyweights. We must speak with one voice. Yeah. And this is exactly what our Pan-African leaders wanted to see happen in 1963 when they came together in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. They clearly stated that Africa for the Africans at home and abroad, and that African Union was now. They said Africa must speak with one voice. It is the only way for Africa to take its rightful place on the world stage. Sadly, when they went to Addis Ababa in 1963, they were divided. We had two factions, the Casablanca group and the Monrovia group. The Casablanca group were saying Africa for the Africans at home and abroad, and African Union now. This was Ghana, Guinea, Mali, Egypt, Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. Only 7. The other 25 of the 32 who attended were the Monrovia group. They were the nationalists. They said, let's go slow. Let's kind of wait on this Pan-African thing. 55 years later, 56 this year, we're still going slow. As if it wasn't bad enough that we were divided up into the tiny little countries that we are today. The gift that Berlin Conference gave us. One other thing that France did between 1958 and 1961 in the name of giving us our independence as African countries. France forced the Francophone, and I hate that terminology. There is no such thing as Francophone, Anglophone. They made it up. But for the purposes of communication, I will use that. 14 of those countries, they said, in order for you to get your independence from us, you must sign this document. You thought they could have found a better name for the document. The document was called the Pact for the Continuation. I repeat, the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. We are talking about giving you independence, but sign this pact for the continuation of colonization in a different format. And I'm going to highlight some of those issues that they said you must agree to if you are going to be independent. Hello. Maybe we need to redefine the meaning of independence for the French. First, France said, you see, you monkeys, you don't know how to manage your money. We're going to demand that you deposit 85% of your bank reserves with the French Minister of Finance. Under the French Central Bank, under the control of the French Minister of Finance. France is then going to take your 85% bank deposits from each and every one of you. Deposit those funds in the French stock market under the French name. And you may or may not know the returns. Today, as we speak, the latest figures are saying for every 14 billion that France invests in the stock market from Africa, they are realizing upwards of 300 billion in return. Every year in, year out, because of these deposits from the African countries, France is taking out of Africa over $500 billion. Now figure it out. For every 14 billion, the returns on the investment are over 300 billion, and they are taking over 500 billion. So in actuality, France is taking out of Africa trillions.
Thank you very much, Madam Ambassador. I think we have so many similarities with this lady. We speak out our minds, and that is it. Let it be known. The truth is there. She has told you all what I've been saying here. So we have a problem in Africa. What have we achieved? What have we seen? What can we do? Which way Africa? Which way Africa? You listen to that tape you cry even further that 85% of your money is banked and put on stock exchange. Profit is God. Jobs are God in France. But when you come back in your own country, in Africa, there are no jobs, everything is collapsing, no infrastructure, but the money from the stock exchange on the bank in Paris has made profit. They have made roads, the metros, the railways, paid their workers, paid their civil servants. You collect the money in Africa.
Is that not insanity?
That's what they say. That's the reality to date. So any African leader who opposes that pact is slaughtered by hail of bullets.
I'm still
over to you, Miriam.
I'm still into some of those points that the Madam Ambassador there, she was the AU ambassador to the United States, and just last week she was unceremoniously given a termination letter, and her term is supposed to be coming, not her term, but she's supposed to be serving until the 31st of this month. And since that, there has been petition online for her to be reinstated, because the AU through its chair did not give any reasons why she was terminated from duty. But you could see for her taking this very strong stance, especially against France, because she has been very critical in the manner in which the former colonies relate with Africa, and especially France and Britain, and particularly France. And there, if you're watching that clip and how she was she just drove the point home. And so something that she mentioned at the beginning of that speech, that they made sure that whatever that came from Africa was branded undesirable, and everything that came from the European or the white people there was what was good enough. So anything Africa was just dark and desirable, and that is where we are today. Until today, we are still fighting to fight for our legitimacy in this world. So it's very interesting points there that she has raised. So thank you so much. So right now, I'll just do I take them through the newsmaking headlines in Africa quickly, and then we come to our topic of the day. So we will start with Gambia, where the right-hand man of the former president of Gambia has said he feels deeply remorseful for atrocities that he allowed to happen during the leader's 21 years tenure. In his third day of testimony, Edward Singate, a former army captain, told the Gambian Truth Commission he felt responsible for having installed Yahya Jammeh in office. Mr. Singate acknowledged a role in the arrest, torture, and in some cases, execution of people Mr. Jammeh accused of plotting against him. And we go to Sudan, where Sudan's transitional government and several major rebel groups have signed a peace agreement that will open humanitarian aid routes into areas cut off by insurgency conflicts for the past 8 years. And then still in Sudan, thousands of Sudanese yesterday rallied in several cities, including the capital Khartoum, urging the country's new authorities to dissolve the former ruling party of deposed leader Omar al-Bashir. And we go to Eritrea, where Eritrea's foreign minister has summoned German's ambassador to Asmara over unbridled smear campaigns by German government-funded international broadcaster Deutsche Welle. Eritrea's information minister Yeman Gebremasker has said the foreign ministry would seek rectification from the ambassador over the station's despicable coverage of national service in Eritrea and the peace process with Ethiopia. And we go to Botswana, where nearly 1 million voters are set to determine the fate of Botswana's future when they take part in the presidential, parliamentary, and local elections on Wednesday. All eyes will be on the presidency, where incumbent Mokgweetsi Masisi is facing a challenge from 3 candidates, including one backed by his predecessor, Ian Khama. To win the presidency, Masisi's governing Botswana Democratic Party must win a parliamentary majority. And we go to Rwanda, and now Rwanda becomes the first regional country to issue a complete ban on all single-use plastics, and retailers have 3 months to clear their stocks and find alternatives, while industrial users and producers of single-use plastics have until a 2-year deadline. And we come to South Sudan, and South Sudan has reportedly paid $3 million of the $27 million it owes to the East Africa Community Secretariat in annual membership fee arrears. In an inclusive interview with the East African newspaper on Thursday last week, Mau Athian, the Undersecretary for the East African Community in South Sudan's Ministry of Trade and Industry, confirmed that the payment had been made. And still in South Sudan, and South Sudan's exiled opposition leader Riek Machar arrived in Juba on Saturday in a bid to salvage a peace deal with less than a month to go until to form a government with President Salva Kiir. The force, whose falling out in 2013 triggered a bloody civil war that has left almost 400,000 people dead and sparked a major humanitarian crisis, signed a peace deal in September last year that is meant to see them reunite once again in government. And we go to South Africa, where the mayor of South Africa's biggest city, Johannesburg, belonging to the main opposition Democratic Alliance, DA, has resigned over the historical White Party's approach to racial irregularities. This is what the mayor said, quoting him, that I cannot reconcile myself with a group of people who believe that race is irrelevant in the discussion of inequality and poverty in South Africa. That is what Mr. Herman Mashaba told a news conference in Johannesburg on Monday. And we end with Nigeria, where police in Nigeria have freed over 1,000 children and adults from 4 Islamic schools over the past month, calling conditions in the loosely regulated institutions inhumane. The crackdown has increased pressure on President Muhammadu Buhari to tighten oversight on traditional private schools known as Almajiris, which teach millions of children in the country's predominantly Muslim north. And that is the latest from Africa this afternoon. So thank you so much for joining us. So there we are. A lot happening in Africa and happened over the weekend. And we see that in South Africa, the Democratic Alliance, the mayor of the city that was the mayor through that party in South Africa, got to resign because he's saying, we know the Democratic Alliance in South Africa is, the majority of it, it's white people, white middle class people there. So a few black who have been in that party, including the presidential candidate that ran in the elections that happened in May, they're looked at as just as tokens. They're not really, they're being looked at as tokens. So South Africans, the Johannesburg mayor resigned over the weekend, the doctor, because he said that the Democratic Alliance Party, the official opposition party in South Africa, they do not want to discuss matters race and inequality and poverty in South Africa. So we see that race is still a major issue there in South Africa in terms of the politics and how a developmental agenda is set there.
Is a sort of state, because that was expected. Mm-hmm. You are the person who has become a mayor of a city that kills people. Mm-hmm. So how will you explain?
You cannot reconcile that.
Yes, you can't blame the government, yet you are the mayor. Mm-hmm. Where does this poverty come from that directs younger men to go and kill people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, so I think we talked about a majority of the stories that I just read. So right now, maybe we just get to our topic of the day. And
which we had already gone into
just part of it. But in case you're wondering why we're having the topic today, my experience in Africa politics for 64 years. Today is Dr. Matanga's birthday. He turned 64. So what are some of the, what do you say, you think you have accomplished that today, should anything happen, to be like, you know what, I'm happy that I did that. This is my contribution. So what are some of the things?
First of all, the first experience is the liberation of Uganda from the hands of fascist dictator Idi Amin. As soon as I finished my O-levels in 1974, then my father wanted me to become a bishop. He took me, filled the forms in the Bishop Tucker College, Mukono. Those who go to Kampala can know that is a theological school, which is now a university, Mukono University, Anglican University. My uncles wanted me to proceed with further other activities. Another one wanted me to become an agriculture officer in Bukalasa and Sitema mechanized schools. Another one wanted me to become an accountant. You can see from the beginning of my inception on planet Earth, I am a man of several characters, several branches of
ability.
Another one came and said, no, this one now was the final one, who said, let him return home to our hometown and go to Mbale Senior Secondary School for A levels. Because I passed, we did the East African Certificate of Education in conjunction with Cambridge University and Oxford University. Our exams were not set from here. They were set from abroad. So you can see the competition and what it was. So, the one who succeeded to put me into A levels, I did it for one semester, one term. The headmaster there chased me.
Why? What did you do?
Because the headmaster had a quarrel with my uncle.
Okay. So he took it on you?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I was doing divinity. Have you seen that religion thing still following me? I did a subject called BCG, biology, chemistry, and geography. And BCG, divinity was somewhere, plus a divinity at the fifth alternative. So, the first achievement, that was during Idi Amin's time. I finally settled to Uganda College of Commerce after being sent away from there. This uncle said, do accounts. But I told the uncle my mathematics is very poor. I failed in mathematics. At my O levels, I got it. What is it? The last grade 9, a 9, flat, failed. I passed biology. I passed physics. I passed chemistry. I wondered how I passed these 3. I was a very good historian. And the history took me to pass 8. I expected. I have never believed myself up to today. I expected a distinction 1 in history. I instead got a distinction 2 in English literature. And then I got a D in geography. Have you seen the confusion there? Then a credit 3. Then English, I got the real English. Now I got credit 5. It mixed up my whole, where do I go from here? But English literature opened up a lot of things for me, which I later on in my 30 years or 40, while in London, I started pursuing the avenue of political science and international relations. But to cut this short, the first achievement, we eliminated Idi Amin. We brought in Yusuf Lule. We overthrew Yusuf Lule after 60-80 days. That's an achievement because he became a tribalist. Yusuf Luley said, the thing that you have been looking for has arrived here. And they said it in Rwanda, that Chemwalimu mwagaliza mbazi, Katonda achisude, meaning the thing that you wanted, you can now have it, is here. After hearing that statement, Museveni, ourselves, our battle was Chikosi Malum, 280 kj of Oito Jok, Basilio Okelo, Olala Otun, Olala Okelo, Eteke Jalu, Omaria, that Save Uganda movement, Rwakana Rugunda, that means mention many of them. Captain Wawiri, that group formed a basis of Chikosi Malum. That was Obote's fighting force against Fronasa of Mr. Museveni. We put in Binaisa. Binaisa said, the chair is so sweet. After 1 year and 3 months, we overthrew him. We brought in the military council, headed by Paul Mwanga and Deputy President Museveni, current. The military commission worked so hard, it brought back Obote to Uganda. We held an election in 1980. We stole this election. I'm sorry, Ugandans have to tell the truth. That election was mad, stolen, because at that time I could not know what election is. But now that I have read more about elections, I must admit it was a fraud, a stolen election. For our country to move forward, some of these mistakes must be rectified. Museveni decided to go to Bush to fight us from 1981. The guy decided to fight us. He fought us very near the capital. He was given support by Mike Pike, the newspaper man who has found himself also in exile in Kenya. He's now printing this paper here. You see this tabloid. The owner of this tabloid is the one who gave Museveni the mileage. And later on also slept on the bed he prepared. 1985, after that election, Obote ruled from 1980 to 1985, Saturday morning, 10 o'clock. Sunshine tropics were overthrown in a military coup organized by General Basilio Okelo, General Tito Okelo, Kano Toko, and the rest of some of them, Eric Odwa, all of them have perished. I'm still here. That coup found us. We fled. We came to Kakamega through Busia. We are disarmed, disabled. Some of us had to find where our relatives were. From that time, President Museveni and Okelo started what we call Nairobi peace jokes, not talks, jokes.
Why was it called jokes and not talks?
Because as they were talking, Mr. Museveni was advancing towards capturing Kampala. So in 1986, they hammered an agreement. The men who overthrew us lasted only 6 months in power. They also followed us in exile. They had raped our women. They had destroyed our property. But we had to forgive them because they didn't know what they were doing when they were overthrowing Obote. Today, some of them regret why they overthrew Obote. Some of them have gained places, positions, because their fathers overthrew Obote. Some of them have got one or two things. Most of us who came with one shoe, one trouser, one shirt, we are here. I'm still here. From 1986 to date, Uganda government has had one president. Several presidents in Africa have gone. 4 in Tanzania have left, changed. From Nyerere, Mkapa, Mwinyi, Kikwete. We still have one president. It's the choice of the people of Uganda. And I have nothing to discuss beyond that, because the people of Uganda, the people who vote him, I have never voted. Neither will I vote until there is a leveled ground of voting. So it has made strides. Uganda has improved the security situation in the Great Lakes region. I support President Museveni for having sent troops to Somalia to stop the beleaguered type of Somali terrorism that destroys this region. We concur 100% with him. We concur on some of the developments that have taken place. We disagree on the number of the type of corruption. Corruption in Uganda, like Kenya, is rampant. The only good thing about the Ugandan corruption is that if you are caught nicely, you are fixed nicely. Kenya, if you steal billions, on Friday you are charged on Monday, you return to it on Tuesday. You better change your law that those who touch money corruptly and bribery, economic conspiracy theories must not see the light of day. I hope the BBI will bring such recommendations for Kenyans to discuss. What do we do to the people who have taken the money corruptly? Like Uganda corruption in Kenya, like Kenya corruption in Uganda is at the same levels. The only thing I disagree on imposing sanctions on Ugandans, just as I will disagree with imposing sanctions on Kenyans, just as I disagreed with imposing sanctions on Zimbabwe, I will disagree up to the time I go to my grave. Because I feel sanctions don't help in the war on change of governments. Okay, that's an achievement. We are now here. I stood firm against sanctions against Zimbabwe. I fought Morgan Changarai vigorously. I opposed him in all summits that he addressed in Africa and in Europe, because you remember Mugabe's ministers were not allowed to go to Europe. I am happy I won that. Sanctions were removed. Another significant thing that I've done in life to defend Africa is the bringing of the Uganda war, the Konyi, the Lord Resistance Army war. against the government of Republic of Uganda. I took part as a chief negotiator, the leader of the delegation, because LRA commanders were under the International Criminal Court warrants. I managed to bring that home and dry. We move. Today, there's no gun. Today, over 72,000 combatants returned home. That's the experience in politics, having seen governments overthrown in a military coups in the morning and in the afternoon. 2005 to 2008, the ICC dismembered Uganda. In 2007, an election took place in Kenya. Kenyans found themselves part of the same court that I had disagreed with in Uganda. Again, the history talks for itself. I took part in these discussions. And up to today, I have seen the results of the people that I defended. Some like me, some don't like me. But that is a very good type of living, which I've said, you can't grow a flower without rain and without sunshine. You must have sunshine and the rain. I am a happy person that I contributed to that historical movement towards removing people from the International Criminal Court. During all this time, several things have happened. One of the moments that caught me is the assassination of Benazir Bhutto. The first thing that hurt me is the assassination of Indira Gandhi. The killing of Indira Gandhi, the assassination of the son, then another son. Those things hurt me because you will ask me anything that might have hurt you. That one. Then the worst one is assassination of Benazir Bhutto, the daughter of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto of Pakistan. She was my lecturer in London Guildhall University. Madam, may your soul rest in peace wherever you went. But Musharraf, the world might have forgiven, but we, the beneficiaries of the souls of Benazir Bhutto, will never stop praying for her memories and spirit to haunt those who planned, executed the assassination of Benazir Bhutto. She was my best friend. When she came to lecture, she singled me out and said, you look mature in the group. So at times you bring social groups out and we discussed. That hit me so hard. Another thing that hit me so hard in these 64 years is the killing of Samora Machel. There is nobody in Africa who talks about a plane leaving South Africa, disappearing in the air. And nobody talks about Samora Machel.
Being shot at the borders of
Yes.
South Africa.
Now, what happened to this plane? If we are tracing history, what happened? Nobody has given me an answer.
But from all indications, it's very clear that the apartheid regime did that.
Thank you. That one hurt me. Again, another thing that hurt me so much is the killing of John Garang, or the death of John Garang. A man that I met. You know, these are people, some of these people, we ate food on a table. So, in tracing political experience, I look at John Garang as a mentor and someone who had actually, who would have been there, and had he been there, South Sudan would not be as it is today. Again there, I felt it. It hit me hard. The death of Jomo Kenyatta in 1978 found me busy in rebel activities. The patriotism, the songs hit me hard. 1969, the assassination of Tom Mboya hit me hard. These are some of the things that I saw, that I was able to read in the paper. A minister, Kenyan minister, Tom Mboya, assassinated, coming out of the chemist up here. Those are the things that hit me so hard. Then the Uganda history. The death of Oito Ojoko hit me hard, because tears to me come very far, from far. I have told you that I can only cry when this song is being sung. Until we meet again. That song is the one that sparks my tears to come at any funeral. So the killing of Oito Ojoko, our commander, in a helicopter crash, when we went to bury, I was devastated. Another thing, Nyerere. Have I mentioned him already? Nyerere, I was touched. But there you are. I was among the few people who traveled up to the last minute there, struggling. And I was shocked. Nyerere did not take it seriously.
He's a very simple man.
Simple man.
Did not steal from the public.
He never stole money.
He did not grab any land.
Did not grab. And you have not seen Nyerere's children being taken to court for the grabbing.
And he set a very good precedence in Uganda, in Tanzania, that the rest of the presidents are able to follow there. He's set a very good example as a founding father of a nation. So, yes, Nyerere is one of the heroes, I think, in Africa that must be celebrated. And some of the virtues and things he stood for must be emulated. He's one proud. We're proud of, as Africans, we're proud that we were able to get that, a person like Nyerere. And you're a very good hero that passed away the other day.
I'm coming.
Yes.
Because I'm closing slowly. The other thing that pained me most is the ICC cases. The manner in which they were done, the way Americans wanted Uhuru Kenyatta and Ruto to be jailed, Open Society Foundation, it pained me. Now, lastly, one of the things that has pained me most before I come to that, one of the things that struck me is PLO leader Arafat.
Yes, sir. Very sad.
It was sad. He should have ended a hero.
Mossad will not let that happen.
The Middle East, Anwar Sadat, the assassination in the morning of Anwar Sadat in a military parade in Cairo by the Muslim Brotherhood hurt me. The assassination of Laurent Kabila by his close bodyguard himself in the morning angered me. I was not angered with assassination of Savimbi. I don't know why.
Maybe because he participated in killing a lot of people in his
of
country.
Angola. Another last political episode that I took part in, which hurt me, is Mugabe. The death of Mugabe, that's why I traveled, just to reach there and see, make sure that I've also paid my last respect. He was a great son of Africa, a great leader who did not listen, or who listened, but he gave a lot of wisdom to the wife. And the wife hijacked my ideas and went to form his own ambition for leadership. Lastly, what has hit me most is the death of my mentor, President Apollo Milton Obote, a great son of Africa, a great hero, a great speaker, a great orator, a great English writer. If you look at the version, the way I write my essays and my posts, numbering them, is Obote who told me how to write. That is the right explain points. Don't write long. You are not writing a composition. If you are writing political science, you write. This English, this writing that you see me write, some of the words I quote President Milton Obote, quizzlings, turncoats, charade, political English. May their souls rest in peace. And of course, what would be bigger than your own father, whom I've never buried, I've never seen where they buried him. That's how painful it ends. And that's how it is. And unless you have another question, which you can, any question.
Any regrets you have?
Yes. Any regrets I have? I should have listened to my father and gone to become a priest.
Why? But the road that you chose worked out just fine. Why would you? But you still have time. You can still go and become a priest and have several lives in a lifetime.
Ask more questions. Any regrets? One of the regrets is that I should have become a priest.
So you regret not becoming a priest?
Yes, because I would be converting so many people in a church. But in politics, people dilute your work. Opponents come and take your words, use them
against you.
Yes, against you or against.
Or use them to benefit themselves.
Benefit.
Yes.
Look at this, all this ICC, Somalia, this water something. It's benefit. So I regret that. Any other?
Well, not so much, but I see a lot of our viewers here. Ozias Mutonzi, you're saying happy 64th birthday, Dr. Matanga. I wish you many more. And also Gebe Omoto Chan, you're saying happy birthday to you, Dr. Matanga, and wish you all the best. Stay blessed. And Dundi Ume, you're also saying happy birthday to you, Dr. Matanga. You will live long and remain blessed. So thank you so much. For all of you who have wished Dr. Matanga his birthday wishes today. He's celebrating 64 years in this world, and he was just taking us through a retrospect of what his life has been and some of the main events that happened here in Africa that he was able to witness, read about, because he was alive then. So we thank you so much, and of course from Punchline, our whole team, we wish you a very happy birthday today, Dr. Matanga.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, I don't celebrate my birthdays. So I give all these wishes to the people who are in pain, in hospitals, people whom God has said they go through such transitions. And I want to thank God for keeping me alive with health issues, keeping me always talking on this television station and talking elsewhere without any hesitation. God, thank you very much. Give me extra time to fulfill some of the dreams that I have in my heart for Africa. I will be very grateful, sir.
And I'm sure he has heard that prayer from your mouth to his ears. And we say amen to that.
So thank you very much.
Yes, indeed.
We come to the close of the show.
Yes.
And I don't know whether we have short past time.
Yes.
Are we past one?
Yeah. About 18 minutes past one. Or 9, or about 20 minutes past one.
Past one. Thank you very much. We are very sorry for having delayed Madame Miriam and ourselves. But keep on watching. Punchline Africa TV is back. And tomorrow we resume again with our normal records. Do we have diplomatic tonight?
You tell us.
I don't know.
But if not, then we will see you here tomorrow.
Tomorrow, because I have,
yes.
Today I feel we came back to tell people that we have not gone away.
Yes, we're back.
Because there were so many people saying, where have you disappeared?
Yes.
But I've told you the reason. We went for Mashujaa Day, but the seating arrangement was Chief Justice. So what do you sit near him and say what? So some of us decided to stay away. We thank President Uhuru Kenyatta very much for the opening that park. It is fantastic.
The Mamangina Drive.
Yes.
I was there when they were doing the construction, so it's complete.
But now if you go,
it's lovely.
It's lovely. You love to eat, to sit, to talk.
I sit there a lot.
Businesses are going to flourish there.
The breeze.
Hawkers, several things. The breeze is coming.
It's very good.
Yes, that's a very good attraction. Thank you very much, Mr. President, Thank you very much. The governor of Mombasa, Governor Joho. Yes, for the good words. He came with good words. But as usual, he was now challenged. Kenyan politics has those challenges.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So we thank you so much, and we hope to see you here tomorrow, 11 a.m. for another edition of Good Morning Africa. Right now, we just want to appreciate your presence and appreciate you engaging with us and, being part of the show today. My name is Miriam Mugutu, and for myself, it's bye-bye for now.
For all of us. Thanks.